Super Mario. A favorite mustachio Italian friend. The guy who likes to save princesses and fight a big turtle instead of doing his actual job. Plumbing. Seriously, when are we going to get a Mario plumbing game? I already had the name of the title. Super Mario Lax, the Rummy Tommy returns. Speaking of Mario games, what actually makes them so fun and memorable to play over and over again? Some people may say the controls, the level design, the power-ups, the platforming. But personally, I always enjoy a well-designed boss battle. Yes, even though they aren't the Dark Souls difficulty, they have a lot of charm over them. So that's why me and a fellow Mario cultists are now going to do our top 10 Mario bosses. Please give our guest a warm welcome, drumroll please. Natedogbrine!
Hello everyone, I'm Natedogbrine. If you don't know me, I make video game reviews on my channel, so go check it out if that sounds interesting. I'm sure it's linked in the description of this video. Before we get on to my list, I have a confession to make. With the exception of a few, I don't really care for Mario bosses. It's usually always 3 hits and you're done. However, there are a few exceptions to this rule, and here are 5 that I think are big exceptions to the boring Mario boss rule. Some are still 3 hits, but they're not generic. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get into my list.
I'm going to leave a link to his channel down in the description. Please check him out. He's a clever young lad that deserves more subscribers than me. Now let's go to the first boss on this list.
Here we go!
In this boss, you have to collect all 50 coins in the arena, but from time to time King Boo will steal them, so you have to get them back. At first, this boss may seem annoying, but it's quite the opposite. See, in Mario Kart games, you're supposed to be as fast as you can, and the faster you do this boss, the less King Boo will steal your coins.
Here we go!
Have Nintendo never read a fanfiction in their life? Stop giving them material to work with. First Rosalina in a motorbike suit, now this? But yeah, Meowth is still really cool. Compared to many other Bowser battles, where you're stuck in a little room with a giant bottom with an exclamation point on it. Yeah, no, really stupid in it. But in this one, there's a giant power block. And a tower. This boss battle is not by any means hard, that's also why it's so low. But what makes this fight so memorable for me is the overall cinematic feel this fight gives me. Compare this to this. The overall scale this fight is set in is quite unique, and the idea of climbing all the way to the top of the tower is so awesome to do, no matter how easy it is. This is Super Mario 3D Land's final fight on steroids, and I also love that fight very much. Now take it away, Nate, with number 8.
Here we go!
In this fight, you are tasked with jumping on the Monty Mole when it comes out of the tank. Each phase, the tank grows in size. The actual boss fight isn't anything special, but the boss itself is. The boss is pretty easy, but I don't care, I think it's cool. Just like the game it comes from, this boss is super underrated. Also, in what other 2D Mario game can you say you fought a Monty Mole in a tank? No, I don't think you understand. This is a Monty Mole in a tank. No, seriously, this is a Monty Mole in a—
Here we go!
for a long time, boss battle entrances used to be like this.
Cheese.
There was no build-up, there was no speeches like these.
I think I'll have you for dessert.
It was a dark place of just pure rubbish. But then, out of the heaven, we got this masterpiece, Super Mario World. This game truly did a lot for the gaming industry, and one thing they decided to add in was a choice that was going to stick forever in the Mario legacy. Actual build-up for the main villain. I can remember clearly when you're outside that final castle, and you just see a dark-figured Bowser in that Koopa clown car hovering over you. And you know, this is going to be insane. The boss fight is also very fun. It actually has a bit of difficulty, but that's mainly because you're probably small Mario when you begin because of that stupid castle level. I seriously spent over an hour trying to get to Bowser. Then I had to spend 2 hours getting to Bowser and beating him up without dying. But how you beat Bowser is quite basic. Bowser throws some Mecha Koopas at you, which you need to fire back at him to hurt him. He then sends some fireballs and some big balls at you. Hit him 3 times and you win. Hooray. The game actually decides to take mercy on you, which he doesn't like to do a lot of the time. In the middle of the rounds, Peach decides to throw some mushrooms at you. I don't quite know where she hit that mushroom, and I'm not going to guess where she hit it. If the fight didn't give you a mushroom out of nowhere, the fight would be a lot harder. But again, what makes the fight so memorable is the actual build-up for Bowser, which is awesome they did, and still do today. Now let's move on to the next one.
Here we go!
This boss is so cool. I mean, look at it. It's a boss that takes place on a roller coaster. Not to mention you're fighting a giant robot version of Bowser. This boss just screams cool. Some people have complained in the past that this boss can be kind of annoying because you have to wait until you pass through these missiles to attack. But that doesn't ruin the boss for me.
Here we go!
The first time you fight Torque is quite alright. He uses one of my favorite captures, the lanky boy. You basically had to destroy his 3 flying saucers by stretching into them and destroying them. Meanwhile, he shoots lasers after you. After hitting all of them, he flips over and exposes his weak point. Stretch again into him and he gets a really bad headache. His middle attack is then to send some lasers on the ground against you, which you simply just jump over. Okay, but it's a pretty standard fight. But the second time you face Torque is the proper way you make a unique rematch. They add in 4 pulse beams, which were incredibly stupid to deal with in the game. They basically shoot out a beam if they get activated by Cappy or another pulse beam. The smart thing about the pulse beams was the fact they were often used in a situation where you had several other things to deal with, like enemies, other obstacles, platforming, etc. And in the Torque rematch, you had to destroy the weak points while dealing with Torque lasers, and the beams the pulse beams shoot out. That already is a small challenge. But in the second wave's attack, it gets really interesting. Torque starts shooting out his own laser beams, which then activates the 4 other pulse beams in the area. You now have to perfectly position yourself before you jump, and immediately after you land, stretch again out and jump over perfectly again. It's not the most difficult thing ever, but the satisfaction of perfectly jumping over the pulse beams is pretty nice. I also love the way you hurt Torque. It has this very satisfying rumble, which I wish they used more of in this game. The rumble makes you feel like you're actually hurting a giant robot floating in the air. In short, this fight made me feel like Mario.
Here we go!
I have another confession to make. Dark Moon is my favorite Luigi's Mansion game. Sure, it has a dumb structure, but the actual puzzles and level design are top-notch. While I wouldn't put it above the third game, I think it's better than the first. Yeah, that's right, I said it. Deal with it. Anyway, on to the boss. In this fight, you are tasked with burning the possessed spider's webs by putting a string of web on fire. And in between each phase, you gotta suck up a ghost. Plus, each phase gets more and more difficult, adding more and more puzzle solving to the boss. It's such a great opening fight. I just wish the other bosses in the game were at least on par with this. Oh well, at least this one's good.
Here we go!
I have a question. Why does Bowser Jr. always get the most insane contraption? First he gets Mega Bowser in Mario Sunshine, then he gets his own personal airship, then he gets a Koopa clown car, he gets a snake as a pet named Gobblegut, and then 2 more giant machines in the same game. And apparently, he's only 6 years old! Bowser, are you stupid or something? You need to be at least 18 for just trying the car alone. And do you know how old you need to be to own this? 0! It's legal! And you're giving this to a toddler! And you're concerned for your son seeing Princess Pizza OnlyFans account! Know your priorities! Well, yeah, the Boomstick Machine is still pretty cool. The reason I love this fight is 2 reasons. The first reason is the fact this fight used my favorite Mario power from Mario Galaxy 2, the Cloud Mushroom. The Cloud Mushroom is not just the best power-up in the Galaxy series, but the entire Mario series as a whole. Mario is a platformer, so having a power-up where you literally get to place your own platform is such a cool idea. But ideas isn't the important thing, it's how you execute it, and this fight executes it perfectly. And that's because of reason number 2, variety in attacks. You have to deal with Bowser Jr.'s ring of fireballs. You have to deal with the homing electrical orbs that can destroy your clouds. You have to deal with the Boomstick Machine ventilators that can suck in your clouds and destroy them, and even electrocute you if you touch the Boomstick Machine. And in the last phase, the whole contraption gets wheels and starts flying around, making it harder to put down your clouds without the machine running it over. While all this is happening, you have to reach the top of the machine where Bowser Jr. is hiding, like that little coward he is.
Here we go!
Baby Bowser from Yoshi's Island. Such a fantastic fight. The first phase is nothing to write home about, but once Kamek makes Baby Bowser bigger, that's when the real fight begins. In this fight, you're tasked with hitting Baby Bowser with giant eggs to keep him from crushing you. All the while, the castle is crumbling beneath you. When people ask me what my favorite boss in gaming is, I more often than not point to this boss. The fight is just a perfect end to a masterpiece of a game. Seriously, go check out Yoshi's Island, it's incredible.
Here we go!
Gobblegut. If this was a top 11 Mario enemies, this one would definitely be here. But top 11 doesn't sound as nice as top 10. But yeah, Gobblegut is pretty cool. He floats around and decides to take a chew of you, but completely misses. His mom must be very proud. Nevertheless, you pop his pimples and move on with your life. Next, Lord of Lightning rematch. The first fight sucks, just gonna say it. Yeah, it was cool fighting a dragon, or should I rather say stand and do nothing. Oh, the roast. It's just too much for you guys. It's just too much for you guys. But the rematch had at least more of a challenge, and actually felt like you avoided its obstacles. So yeah, good track. Super Mario 3D Land Final Bowser Fight. Another cool Bowser fight on this list. Basically, Bowser's fat legs breaks the floor and makes you fall down to a levitating platform. But yeah, I like the level boss design. You basically have to avoid Bowser's obstacles and traps. I like this fight. Kamek's Rocket Rampage. Okay, short confession. I like Mario Party 10. Yeah, sue me. But more importantly, I like Kamek's boss fight in this game. You basically have to blast Kamek with fireworks, and if you catch a gold firework, you deal more damage. It's a nice message to kids. If someone bullies you, shoot them with some rockets. I like that. Kamek's Book Bash. Another Kamek fight, but this time we shoot him with ink. Mario's weird. This fight is quite simple. So simple in fact I'm not even going to say anything.
Here we go!
Every gamer has their strengths and weaknesses. I think I'm good with puzzle games and platformers, but put me in front of any first-person shooter or PvP? Yeah, no thanks. I'm terrible with precision and timing. I always make everything more complicated than how it has to be. I don't quite know why or how I do that, but that is why I find it quite a challenge, fighting Bowser in Mario Galaxy. This fight has 3 phases, and each phase actually gets easier by the next one. In a way, that's actually a bad thing. The first phase is quite easy. Bowser jumps up and down like a toddler that can't visit the ice cream van owned by that pedophile. But apparently Bowser is a big fan of Sonic the Hedgehog, because he turns into a rock and starts rolling towards you. And here comes the first part I find challenging. You see, Bowser has a little opening where you need to perfectly spin to hit him, and you need to do that twice. I don't own the game anymore, so I'm using others' gameplay, but I couldn't find anyone else who has a problem with this phase. And that's why I can only come to the logical conclusion that I suck. But when I finally am able to hit Bowser's stupid face twice, we get to the next phase, which I would like to call the Doom of the Green Balls. I call that because these green balls sucks! Fun fact, these green balls are actually coconuts. I found more clips from other gameplay footage that experience the same pain as I do. If you don't understand what I'm talking about here, let me explain. So these green coconuts, you basically have to spin to make them launch towards Bowser. And something I have not mentioned yet is the fact that every time you hit Bowser successfully, he begins spinning around this small planet. But you just need to hit him once and then WHAT?! As I said before, I'm terrible with precision, so having to deal with this? No thanks. When I first got the game, I actually didn't beat Bowser and get the ending. It was only years later I finally got my revenge. The music is also oh, and the third phase is also cool. That's it. Before we go, I want to give a special shout out to Natedogbrine. He was fun to work with, and I hope we get to do more videos in the future. I will leave his social links down in the description if you want to see more from him. Also go over to his YouTube channel and subscribe to him. I love his stuff, and so should you.
Anyway, thanks for having me on your channel, Julian. It was a pleasure. Anyway, see you guys on my channel. Bye.
Nevertheless, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good day.